So Donald Stojack always talks to interesting people. And today, Janelle and I are going to go back and forth on getting past the doo-doo out there, however you want to use that word. So we'll keep it polite here today, but we met up for coffee this week and had a really, really good chat. And Janelle and I have been going back and forth for a couple of years now. And she has got the book, You Are Your Own Lighthouse. And her specialty is helping. Yeah. Let's plug it, Janelle. Let's right.
You see it with my light?
So many times, we've got good conversations lately, and we have we've had a couple of people talk to us about podcasts and stuff. Chris was so gracious to help us understanding branding. It's just incredible stuff. But at the end of the day, why are we still not hitting it, or why are we not doing it? Right? It's not a mechanical thing, and it's that brick wall, right? And everybody feel that sometimes, right? Carly, you ever felt that? It's just like, okay, so how do we get past that? And Janelle's got some insight into this. I think it's really, really good for us to kind of, and if you've heard it before, this is the stuff that you need to revisit. I always caution people, don't think you got this figured out. You never have it figured out. You've got to keep going back, because you're always going to fine tune it. And the danger is, the danger is only looking in the mirror, right? We do need to look in the mirror, right, Tony? But the danger of only looking in the mirror and not getting an outside insight into that, to what we're missing, is it's the death of your business. It's the death of everything. What do you come up against? Because, like, as you know, you're tapping into women who are hit that brick wall in their relationship, and now they've got that legal document in hand. I'm divorced. Now what? But I mean, it's true with just about everything, isn't
it? It really is. It's we come through these hard times and we think that that's where we're going to stay. We think we're going to be stuck there. And a lot of times we need to start looking for that silver lining. We don't always see it. When we're in the middle of that, we don't see that silver lining. I've been there many, many times throughout my life where I'm just like, what just happened? Something like God, the universe, whoever you want to call it, just smacks me upside the head, just says, nope, this is not where you're supposed to be. This is not what you're supposed to be doing. And you just stop and you're almost like stunned, going, what just happened? And there's always a silver lining. You have to look really, really hard for it sometimes. Sometimes you don't even see it until after you get through it. And then you go, oh. But like we were talking, when you get a coach, sometimes they can help give you that little glimmer of, hey, did you notice this part about that? Maybe this is why this happened. Give you that different perspective of, hey, are you looking at it from this angle? Because a lot of times we're looking at it with our own personal blinders on, and we don't see that field off to the other side, that if we lost our job, and you don't see that there's another avenue, another path that you can take. And the coaches will say, hey, and they open your eyes to that and say, did you see that pasture over there? Like, oh, wow, I didn't know that that's just a whole nother path that we can take.
And so sometimes maybe we're focusing on the wrong thing. So we think that's the thing. And it's something else. On the Facebook page, I posted a picture of my horse, eating the grass, right? So you sit there going, oh, isn't that nice? Well, on the next trailer over was one of the other horses from the barn where we come from, because we went to an event, that was refusing to load back into the trailer. And everybody had been at it for over an hour. Okay. And so, you could look up and focus there on the mess that was happening, or as you say, Janelle, find that silver lining. That was giving my horse extra time to sit there and graze on the grass. And for me, as because my daughter put the lead in my hand, which she typically is not going to do with that big horse, so that she could focus on helping the other person with their horse. So, what is it? How do we speed date that? How do we maybe get past the junk and find that silver lining maybe a little bit quicker?
Well, like I said, getting a coach would definitely help get that a little bit faster. If you don't want to go with a coach, you can always start journaling, getting that information out that way. Just start asking the question, because the answer is within inside us. We have that answer. We don't always feel like we do,
Hmm.
but we can just start and just write down those questions. And what I'll do sometimes is I'll even write my name, Janelle. Where are you supposed to be going? What are you supposed to be doing? What path are you do you belong on? Where are you supposed to be heading? What is missing from your life? The other thing would be to just quiet your mind and meditate. Just get to that point where you are sitting there and you're listening, because your inner self will tell you, higher power will tell you, whatever you believe in, the answers will come to you. But you also have to give it time, and you have to quiet your mind. If you constantly are having music going and the TV going, all this other outside noise going, it doesn't give you time to sit and process what you've been through, especially if you've been through a divorce. That can be pretty tragic, and especially if you're blindsided by it, to sit and feel that what you're going through, feel the pain that you're going through. You can't just shove that pain down and keep moving forward. There are times where you have to, even though depending on what's going on, but you do have to acknowledge it and go through that pain, and even just embrace the pain and see what happens, and allow it to take its course.
Can it be too that so many times in life, personally or in business, that this could, Richard does a lot with innovation in his work, and it is being able to see beyond the groove. It is getting out of that groove that you've worn into anything. Maybe your package or your program um is getting stale and you don't realize it. I've done it this way for so long and it worked, but all of a sudden it seems like maybe you're not paying attention and it's not working as well as it is, or maybe it gradually stopped working, and so that you don't even notice it. But that can be very true in a relationship, right? You get to a breaking spot where like, uh-oh, right? But you've worn the groove so deep. And I love those questions too. It reminds me of the projects I worked on with Jay Abraham. He had 3 questions that he asked over and over again. And it was, what else? Who else? Where else? And like you mentioned, it's not getting more busy, it's getting unbusy. It take time to head out to the beach, right, Carly? Find time to go walk your favorite path. Or Janelle, you've been posting those beautiful pictures of the sunrise out there in Spanaway where you're at. Just take time to look at what's around you and calm yourself. What else? Where else? Who else? And probably when you hit a divorce too, you think they were the only one, and now what? There's that who else question, you know.
Yeah, that's so true. There's so many different avenues when you think about going through divorce. It's not just, that next partner. A lot of times that's what they think of as that next partner, but they also, what about their job? What about their living situation? What about their friends and family that they've known? Even if you've been married a few years, you still get those friends and family that are yours together. You may end up losing those friends and family. You may end up living in a new town. I know people that have, they end up in a completely different state. It just, even a different country from their ex-husband. So they have, and maybe they have children. They got to think about that also. There's so many different um, levels of thought process that goes through, that you go through when you're getting divorced, because it's not just one thing. It's not just, oh, I'm getting divorced. There's so many other aspects to it.
Your book,
I deal a lot with the financial piece of it in divorce, is because like if you got to buy your spouse out of your house and you take a couple $100,000 out of your retirement fund, well, there's going to be a hell of a lot of money doing a couple $100,000 to get ready to do your taxes this year, and you're going to be single, so you're going to be in a higher bracket to start with. And it's just because I do forensic accounting, I look for people where their spouse stole money from them a lot of times. It's just amazing all the different emotions they can go through while we're looking for something as simple as money. I didn't mean to interrupt you, Donald. I just
no, but that's a good point, David, too. And I think, whether it's the relationship, personal relationship, or a business relationship, it is sometimes stepping back and looking at all the fingers of the web and all the different directions they go. So it probably behooves you, like you say, you've got to get somebody to help you. You got to get a coach, you got to get a mentor, find somebody that's been down the path that maybe has even made the mistakes. And with your book, it says, you are your own lighthouse. How did you get inspired to add that as the title? Where does that weave in?
Oh, so that story, it was middle of COVID. I got injured September of 2020. It was a foot injury. This was 2021. I was working on my business. I went and got a desk chair. And because it was a foot injury, I felt it was easier for me to put the chair together on top of my bed, because that way I couldn't get up. I didn't want to have to get down on the floor and then try and get back up. So I was doing it up on the bed and put it all together and had the wheels on and everything. I lifted up on the bed to make sure the wheels were on. They were fine. Take the chair from off the bed, and as I go to set it on the floor, the wheels fell off and it hit my foot, my injured foot. And thankfully it wasn't where I was already injured, but I had broke down. For years I had felt like I had been the lighthouse for my ex-husband. I was married to a military man, so he was gone quite a bit, but I always felt like I was the lighthouse for my ex-husband, my girls. Even when I got into a relationship, I started feeling like I was the lighthouse for them. And I just broke down, and I just cried out. I was just so distraught, saying, who is my lighthouse? Where is my lighthouse? And this voice came to me saying, you are your own lighthouse. And I just stopped. I said, okay. I went in, washed my face, and said, okay, I've got this. And I already had this kind of idea for this book. And I thought, this is the perfect title. Women need to know that they are their own lighthouse, that they don't always feel like it, because they always feel like they are somebody for somebody else. As I told you on Tuesday, that I felt like usually women are like, I'm on the back of the stove. I didn't even feel like I was on the stove. I felt like it was everybody else, and I was nowhere near. So to help find myself, I wrote this book, and I thought I wrote it for women who are going through divorce. I have found that when I'm going through difficult times, I've had friends say, have you read your book? And I'm like, no. Or I'll start saying something. I'm like, that's in my book. I should know this because it's in my book. So like you said, we need these reminders that, of these simple tasks that we can do to help us during these difficult times. They are something that you can do they're simple to do, finding ways to forgive not only somebody that may have hurt you, but yourself when you're going through these difficult times. Because a lot of times you beat yourself up going, why did I stay in that marriage so long? Why did I do it this way? Why didn't I why did I go down this path again and not this other path? Having that forgiveness for yourself and learning to forgive yourself and respect yourself. So
there's an energy sitting there. I find it as I have trained numerous sales teams, and it's especially like when you get up like in the enterprise sales level where the contracts are crazy amounts of money, right? And somebody will work on it for months, and the deal falls through right at the moment when they thought they had it in their hands, and they just kind of go into this death spiral, that just knocks every other deal in their pipeline off the plate, because they carry that energy back over to the other things in progress. And so part of what you're saying there is to kind of ground yourself and not let that, the default is to let it drag you down. And it's to kind of, it's like when you get on the airplane, they always remind us, put your own oxygen mask on first, right? Before you can put on others. And so sometimes I think maybe because something is falling apart, we feel guilty about paying attention to ourselves. It's kind of like the counterintuitive thing. But you have to pay attention to yourself first in order to make the other stuff work.
yeah, it's so true. And a lot of times, especially as moms, we put our children before ourselves. And Carly and I actually talked about this, and she's like, I've decided to put myself before my children. And I love that. She's like, there's times where, nope, this is what I need. I need to meditate. I need the next hour. You can take care of what, go watch something, go do whatever. But yes, I need this time. And as women, a lot of times I don't feel we don't do that. We don't allow ourselves to, unfortunately. We feel, I don't know if it's just something that we've been taught that we need to do for everybody else and don't worry about ourselves.
Men, I'm not gonna say men have it to the same degree or even the same. I think it's a different type of a thing. And I think because women are seen as that nurturing aspect, that somehow it gets, put on you. I know as a dad and now a grandfather now, I find myself getting into that same zone as well. I'm putting way too much on myself when it doesn't need to be there. And it does take a continuous reminder to say, hey, do something for yourself first, right? At the beginning of the call, going back and forth with Tyler, he's got a brood almost as big as mine, but not quite. Okay, I'm still ahead of him, but it's like, at times they can, all their activities and things like that, you're going sideways, and at some point you got to go, if I'm going to be a true father, a true mother, a true partner, whether a business partner or a leader for my clients that I've got, if you're working with different clients, if you're not taking care of yourself first and foremost, you're not going to have what you need to feed them, the energy, the knowledge, the calmness, and all of that. So this is not little stuff. No. This is like ground zero. Oftentimes as I work with people in helping them sell, right, to enroll a client or put a project together, and David Bennett and I have gone back and forth on this for quite a bit, because he wanted from me, hey, just tell me the scripting, just tell me the words to use, right? And I think I finally got him to realize it's beyond the words, right? It's the energy, it's the emotion, it's anything else but what we think it is. And that's why pitches don't work. Sometimes people think, oh, if I just get my pitch right for my program, my product, that ain't it, right? And the danger is that you perfect your pitch and it works, and then you thought that was it, but that really wasn't it. It's like you perfected your pitch, and it allowed you to get the confidence and the energy to deliver it.
Yeah.
Tom, did you hear that one? That's a quote, right? Right? You get it together, right? And what is it that made it work?
Yeah, I missed the quote. Sorry, I was
You
chatting.
were you were multitasking. I gotcha.
I was in the chat box with Carly and Tony. I'm turning everybody in now. I'm turning in all the chatters. So
Yeah. Who was paying attention that really got what I just said? Because I just that was Tony, is that a truth bomb or what?
Oh, definitely. It's like it just it clicked right when you were talking about it. It's like, oh, pay attention here, everybody.
Yeah.
Terry's really good at capturing those and putting them in the chat. So if I see Terry's chats, I know she's usually she's really good at catching them and put them right in the chat. So I got to give her credit for that. So she'll probably be setting it out in a second. I'm waiting for it.
So I'll say it again because I think it's really crucial to capture. And Janelle and I had a really good conversation there again this week. We took time to be present with each other over a cup of coffee, because with just one cup, because I drank the coffee and Janelle took notes. Okay, we didn't meet over cups of coffee; it was a cup of coffee. So many times people perfect their pitch, and then they have success with it, and they think that somehow magically pitching it was it, and that's not it. It's because you felt that your pitch was perfect, that you finally delivered something with confidence. And so it's not the pitch, it's the confidence. Because what people buy from you is not what you pitch. They buy certainty. And if you can deliver certainty because you've got the right emotion to back it up, that's how you're going to get there. Janelle, what's your magic formula in your book?
Good question. Oh, a lot of it, I guess it just depends on your mood. I mean, that's how I wrote it, it depends on what you're going through and what you need. And it's different for everybody. But basically, I guess it would be for you to do the work, to learn who you are, understand how you work. We all work differently. We all see things differently. Things in my book won't work for everybody, but you also have to do the work. You have to I'm trying to think, there's so many different areas that I cover that I guess what it is you have to look at where you're at that moment and what it is you need. Because what I need today may not be what I need tomorrow. What I'm going through today may not be what I'm going through tomorrow or what I went through yesterday. So yesterday I may have needed to go to the gym and beat the hell out of a punching bag because I was just angry and frustrated and needed to get that out. Whereas today I'm a lot calmer and maybe I need to go do some yoga. I need to journal. I need to sit outside for a little while. Whereas tomorrow I may need to talk to somebody and just have them see things from a different perspective. So it's sitting with what you're going through at that moment and what is it you need.
Eric, this dovetails with a lot of the stuff that you do, doesn't it? As you're working with your find your lane. I mean, isn't it pretty much that?
There's a lot of similarity, and I've Janelle, thank you. I've learned a lot from you just now.
Good.
And that's kind of one of the things that lights me up, and I hope to bring to people when we work with them is when a person realizes there's still more things to learn. They don't have to learn a new field or a new craft or a new art. They already know a whole lot of stuff that they didn't know they knew could be applied in a new way. And oftentimes there's all kinds of stuff they didn't even know they knew. But now we get into the Zen koan sort of, thing.
Well,
But
and Richard has reminded us that we forget most of what we thought we knew, or we don't know as much as what is it, Richard? We don't know what we don't know.
Well,
what we
there's
thought
you-
we know.
Yeah, there's things you know you don't know, and then there's things
Right.
you don't know you don't know.
Yeah.
But just being aware that that's the fact, humility is the answer.
And to Janelle's point, it is like it could be different tomorrow. So don't get stuck in today, because tomorrow could be entirely different. All those people that are looking for those magic marketing formulas, Morris, right? It worked on Monday, right? Why is it not working on Tuesday? Or it worked for that guru over there. Why is it not working for me? Well, because you're not that guru, and it's Tuesday, it's not Monday. Right?
Also the audience.
Yeah.
Every audience is different.
Yeah. And
On the other hand,
yeah.
on the other hand, I don't like the idea of being so flexible and so fluid that you got no anchors. I mean, I think the author Adam Grant, who's I just love Adam Grant. His newest book is about how to achieve great things in your life, and his first chapter is about character, about anchoring, finding out what things in your life are of high character, things you're devoted to, the things that anchor your life, the beliefs, like I like stoicism, that sort of thing. You got to have something. You got to have anchors.
Okay, so
In times of trouble, you've got to have some anchors.
Some unbendable truth that you hold on to.
Yes.
Well, and what's interesting about my book, it's a lot of the same stuff repetitively, but saying, when you're mad as hell, you're going to do this kind of exercise. Whereas if you need to relax, you'll do something different. So and I talk about journaling in there and forgiving. It's all pretty much repetitive stuff, just worded differently, just a different aspect. So it pretty much is anchored, but just to that audience of what they need at that moment. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Tony, you've had Janelle on your podcast, right?
Yeah.
Anything that we're missing? Because you're an incredible interviewer.
Well, thank you, sir. Appreciate that. Well, Janelle was also an incredible guest, and telling the story. I love the story that she told, about climbing, the foot and that whole thing. That just, but
we've all done that, Janelle, right? We've all.
It's that revelation, though, that yes, not only are we going through this situation, but we can guide ourselves through that situation. Being a lighthouse is shining a light, but normally when we shine that light, it's to other people. But when we're our own lighthouse, we shine the light for ourselves. And a lot of us miss that. A lot of us will tell people, we'll give people advice, but we don't take our own advice. I just posted in the chat before that sometimes when I'm complaining, and this is into what Janelle talked about, but so when I'm complaining, they'll look at me and say, well, what would Coach Tony say? And I'll say, wow, you're right, because we don't take our own advice. We don't follow that light that we shine, that Janelle talks about in her book. And the other thing that she talked about was, and I'm going to say this wrong because I'm terrible with this pronunciation, the Opa, whatever it is, that the prayer.
Oh, the Hopa Opa Ono prayer.
Hopa Opa Ono, not Hopa Yoko Ono prayer. That's what John Lennon prayed.
I actually thought you were going for Oompa Loompa. That's transparency. Sorry. So
yeah, that's Willy Wonka, right? But that was a tremendous part of the episode, and how we delved into that. So if you want to touch on that, Janelle, that would be great.
Yes. The Hopa Opa Ono prayer is a Hawaiian prayer. It's the area I probably dug into the most. I found it really fascinating. All it is, it's a very, very simple prayer. It's, I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. You can say this to somebody else. You can say it to yourself. You do not even have to say it to their face. You can have had an argument with somebody and you just send this, and you need to send it from your heart. I think I just did a video and I was like, you got it. You can't be saying it like, oh, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you. When you sit down and you go into your heart and you go and you send it from your heart, it's going to give a different feeling, not only to yourself, but to them. And just, I am sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. And the story behind this, there's a YouTube video, and I watched this video over and over again because it was just so profound. There was this therapist, I believe he was, in Hawaii, and they asked him to come to this psych ward and work, and he kept saying no, no, no. Finally, he goes, yes, I'll go ahead and I'll come work there. He was working on the most difficult wing. Like, they couldn't keep people there more than 3 days. People were quitting left and right. All he did was he went in there, never even set foot on that floor, had all the files of all the people on that floor, and he sat there and did the Hopa Opa Ono to all those people. He said, I don't remember the timeline, but he said that wing ended up getting cleared out and everybody was able to walk out in society healed, just from him doing that. And this came straight from that guy. The video, I can send the link if you need me to, Donald. It came from, this was the story from him. I watched it that much because I wanted to make sure I understood his perspective, but it was so profound that that's all he had to do. Not even look them in the eyes, not even see the back of their heads or even walk down the hall. He just looked at their name and just said, I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. And he cleared out the whole wing.
Imagine that.
Now imagine if we did that to ourselves and for ourselves. How often do we forgive ourselves? Especially for the little things. How many times have we done something, oh, I left that on the stove, dang it, and just beat ourselves up? How many times have you, oh, there's my exit, and you accidentally have to cut somebody off and you're like, oh crap. And then when somebody else does it to you, you're cussing them out and you're like, but I just did it. I did it, a couple days ago. Forgive them for having to cut you off. You don't know what's going on with them.
Reminds me, when I worked with Chet, I got introduced to Hal Dwoskin and the Sedona method. I think Hal was a friend of Chet's, but also probably a client as well. And we worked with him, but I got to go through his training. And then later on, I actually worked with one of Hal's top disciples or whatever, and got some even deeper work on that. But it was all about releasing. And if you're not familiar with the Sedona method, it's very, very powerful, but it's very similar to that, Janel. And so many times we have things that we don't even realize we have bottled up in us. And we may think we've got it all cleared, just as we were talking, about my son, Janel, on Tuesday. I thought I was over the grief and somebody but I said, you got a little pocket sitting there you're not dealing with. And I was like, really? And luckily they were willing to work with me and to help release it, because I thought I got this figured out, right? And I'd already gotten some help from different people, so never make that assumption, right? And so we're not robots, we're not Chat GPT, right? We're human breathing biologics, Tom. So we're biologics. Is that a new word I've been hearing? Right? So
I've heard it before, so it's not new.
Oh, okay, but I'm telling you, I just started hearing that. But I mean, that we are. So I mean, if it's not working, right? Red flag, right? For each of us in our life, in our business, if it's not working, stop for a moment, okay, and say, what am I not seeing here? Right? As opposed to, I think the old tendency, let's just power through it. Let's just keep going, right? It's not it, is it? We've got to be our own lighthouse.
Yeah.
This is really deep today.
I have a question. I have a question for Janelle. I'm not sure I quite understood the story. This difficult wing in the hospital where people lasted only for 3 days. Was the wing cleared out of all the patients, or did the staff also walk away healed?
Well, the staff was the one that every 3 days the staff was turning over. Because they couldn't
Right.
handle it because it was such a difficult wing. The patients were the ones that ended up clearing out. He cleared out all the patients. He went through all the patients' files. All he did was looked at the name. And like I said, I'll share the video. And I never watched the full thing. It was an interview with this gentleman. And so it's words straight from his mouth. That's all he did was looked at their name and said the Hopa Opa Ono to each person, and the wing got all the patients cleared out of the wing.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is, Elaine, that is a wow, isn't it? Right?
Yeah.
And maybe that's an outlier, but probably not. But if that's true, even if it's only true to a small degree, think of the power of that, and think of it as you're going through your day, and maybe you're getting frustrated with wherever you are at in whatever you're doing, okay? And you think, oh, it's got to be over there. It's got to be over there, right? It's probably right here. I've worked with some very well-known people. And it's interesting when you get up against some of these people and you're trying to go, what's really the difference? I'm not going to say every time, because some of the people I've been up against, it's like I'm still scratching my head. What is the difference, right? But a lot of them, what they have been able to do is tap into that core humility, right? Some of them haven't. So full disclosure, I've been around some of those people that they're not there. But some of the people that I've been around, and I met a gentleman last year down in Houston that just really impressed me, because I just right away thought, oh, right, what was working for him? It wasn't all of that other stuff, right? It was something right in here that he had squared away and was very conscious of and deliberate with, and wasn't making any assumptions about it, even in the moment. Does that help you guys out? Good stuff, huh? Janelle will have a link on how they can connect with you. Obviously, some of us already connected with you, but Janelle's a great resource for this stuff. She's calmly walked through it. She's helped a number of people, especially women, as they faced divorce head on and that brick wall in their life. But what else? Who else? Where else can you apply that same thing?
And it doesn't always have to be with divorce. It can be with any area of life. I've gone through difficult times where I wish I knew this stuff. I wish I knew how to handle the situations I was going through.
Yeah.
Can I ask, Janelle, in one sentence or something like that, what is the meta message of the book? Like one overarching, here's where you land the airplane.
Do the inner work. It's all within you. You have all that work. There's different tools in there that get in there and heal yourself. Get in there and heal yourself with one or more of these tools. Does that answer?
Thank you. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, thank you.
I'm hitting one of those interesting numbers this year. I hit 65 this year. It's just a few months. I know. Don't look at, do I? Yeah, thank you, Terry.
You old scooter, you.
You guys all thought I was only 63, right? No, I'm kidding. 65. It's like all these milestones, and it's the same thing, Janelle. It's like every year, and Richard's got a couple years on me. It brings a different reality, and you've got to step back and go, okay, now what, right? It's just right there. Thank you, Janelle. I think this is worthy of even deeper and more continuing conversation. So I encourage you to reach out to Janelle if you got any questions. I mean, this is big stuff. Big stuff. Very good. I'm gonna stop the recording here.